Jai Ma Saraswati, my dear students, very warm good morning to all of you. We'll discuss about very important topic metals and non-metals, which is also very important for the Sainik School Gorakhal, and this is concerned to class 4th and 5th. So we can identify which is metals and non-metals very easily by comparing their properties. Metals have a particular properties and non-metals also have some properties. So first we will understand about the properties of the metal. For example, metals are conductors of the heat and electricity. Metals are sonorous. Metals are ductile. Okay. So likewise, which follow these properties, that will be metals, otherwise non-metals. The another category is metalloids. Okay. The things, the elements which has the properties of both as metals and non-metals, that are called metalloids. Okay, first we will discuss about the properties of the metals. Okay, then non-metals and then metalloids. Okay, so first we'll focus on the properties of the metals. First property I am discussing you is the conductivity. Metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. Remember it, which are metals are the good conductors of electricity and heat. For example, just look on your electricity wires. Always electricity wires made up of the metals, because metals are the good conductor of electricity. Look towards your household utensils. Okay, so all your utensils, maximum of utensils are made up of the metal, because the metals are good conductor of heat also. Understand this point? Okay, go through the next. Second property is metals are ductile. Okay, ductile means the property of the metal by which we can drawn into wire. Okay, we can convert the metal into the wire. So this property the metal have. See the wire, all the wires are made up of the metal, because the metals are ductile. What is ductile? Ductile property means the metals could be element could be changed in the wire, drawn into the form of wire, that is ductile. The first property or conductivity, second is the ductile. I hope you have understand. Next, go through the malleability. Okay, the third property of the metal is malleable. What is means the malleable? When we hammer out any metal, it will convert in the form of sheet. Okay, that is this the property is called the malleable. For example, just property I'm going to discuss about the sonorous. Sonorous means sound, a metallic sound. So metals have, when they are beaten through the hammer or anything, they make a metallic sound. For example, if you beat the thali, okay, plate, or your school bell also, that make a sound. That sound is called the sonorous. Okay, so metals have a sound that is called sonorous. So the properties which elements have, that elements is called the metals, and that elements which doesn't have these five or six properties, that will be non metals. The elements which have some property of the metals and some properties of non-metal, that are called the metalloids. So we have discussed about the properties of the metals and non-metals, right? Now, that were the physical properties, the ductility, conductivity, density, sonority, that were the physical properties of non-metals and metals, right? Now, we are going through the chemical properties of the metal. are very very important. First, I'm going to discuss about reaction with oxygen. What will happen when any metal react with oxygen, right? All metals combine with oxygen to form metal oxide. When the metal is react with oxygen, what it will make? Metal oxide. Okay, and these metal oxide will be basic in nature. Okay, what is acid, base, salts, we know na. So that the metal oxides always in basic in nature. Different metal react with oxygen under different conditions. So I'm taking example sodium, which is very reactive metal. So sodium when react with the oxygen, it will make sodium oxide, Na2O. And when magnesium react with oxygen, it will make magnesium oxide. Similarly, when the zinc react with oxygen, it will give zinc oxide. When the iron react with oxygen, it will get ferric oxide, Fe2O3. And copper, in your some of your utensils in your kitchen, they have copper na. So when the copper react with oxygen, it give the greenish, it convert the greenish layer. Okay, so that is the copper oxide layer there. Now we are going to discuss about the reaction with water. What will happen when the metal react with water? Metal react with water, it will give metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas will release. For example, when the sodium is react with water, it will give sodium hydroxide and oxygen hydrogen will be released. Magnesium is react with water, it will give magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen will be released. Maybe you have done some experiment or you have listened that when the water is pose on the sodium, then fire will be executed. Why this is happen? Because when the sodium is come in contact with the water, it will produce the hydrogen. Hydrogen is inflammable gas, right? So and that and the temperature will be also increase, right? So hydrogen gas will be burn, right? So that is why it will catch the fire. The sodium plus water, sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen, right? We'll discuss when the metal react with an acid, what will happen. When the metal react with acid, it will give metal chloride and hydrogen gas will be released, right? For example, magnesium when react with the hydrochloric acid HCl, it will give magnesium chloride and hydrogen gas will be released. Similarly, when the zinc is react with HCl, then it will give the zinc chloride and hydrogen gas will release. Means when we can test this one with the hydrogen test. Now we are going to discuss about the displacement reactions. Actually, what is the displacement reactions? We observe that some of the metals are very reactive and some are less reactive. When the more reactive metal displaces the less reactive metal from its sets, that is called the displacement reaction. For example, aluminium when react with the copper sulfate, it will get the aluminium sulfate and copper, right? Here aluminum is more reactive, that's why is releases the copper from the copper sulfate and copper will be reduced from the copper sulfate. Understand it? Similarly, if you see the iron when react with the copper sulfate, iron is more reactive than the copper, then the iron will displace the copper from the copper sulfate, right? Similar example you can understand. Chemical properties of non-metal. The first property is reaction with oxygen. When the non-metal is react with oxygen, it will give metal oxides, right? So for example, phosphorus when react with oxygen, it will give phosphorus trioxide. Got it? Okay, next. When the sulfur react with oxygen, it will give sulfur dioxide, right? Similar other reactions you can discuss here. uh, Understand it. Reaction with water, non-matter generally not react with water, right? It will not give any reactions. So similarly you can discuss the more properties of the metals and non-metals, and you will solve all questions about this chapter in coming examinations. Just one property I want to discuss, what I did not discuss in this yet. Uh, One property of the non-metal is the brittleness. Brittle means when we hammer out any element, it will break down in the small pieces, right? So the brittleness property have gathered by the non-metals. So non-metals are brittle, right? Okay, got it. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Next.